I promise I won't do videos like this for every film festival because there are just too many film festivals in the world, but the Philadelphia Film Festival's lineup is stacked this year, and since I've already seen some of the movies on the lineup, I wanted to talk about which movies I recommend seeing and which ones I'd skip. There is some overlap between Philly's lineup and the New York Film Festival's lineup, and since I already discussed The Brutalist, A Real Pain, Hard Truths, The Room Next Door, On Becoming a Guinea Fowl, All We Imagine as Light, and Anora in my video about what to watch at the New York Film Festival, I'll leave those out of this one, but keep watching if you want to hear my thoughts on Memoir of a Snail, Flow, Cloud, Conclave, Nickel Boys, The Last Showgirl, Bird, and The End. Two of my favorite animated films of the year are on Philly's lineup. Not only is Memoir of a Snail my favorite animated film of the year, it's currently in my top 3 of the year, period. If you've watched any of my Movies That Changed My Life videos, a lot of the things I've talked about in those videos are present in Memoir of a Snail, so this is 100% my type of movie. It's one of those movies where a bunch of things go wrong for the protagonist, and I didn't find it as funny as Adam Elliott's previous feature-length film Mary and Max, so I think some people might find it to be a little too miserable, but it worked for me. It made me feel sad, angry, happy, frustrated, devastated, surprised, relieved, and hopeful. So I highly recommend this movie, but it does also come out in theaters this month. Flow is possibly my second favorite animated film of the year. It kind of reminds me of the video game Stray, but without the robots, because it's about this cat living in a post-apocalyptic world. If you're a fan of animated films with little to no dialogue, like WALL-E or Robot Dreams, or if you just really like animals, especially cats, you'll definitely want to check this one out. Cloud is a new film from Kiyoshi Kurosawa, and I'm a big fan of his work, so it's not really a surprise that I loved this. It's about a reseller, which probably doesn't sound interesting, but let me tell you, this movie is riveting. At times it feels like a psychological thriller, and at other times it feels like an action movie, but if you've only seen Kurosawa's horror films, then you might want to keep in mind that this isn't a horror film. I feel bad because when he introduced the film at TIFF, he said how people in North America love his movies Cure and Pulse, and that Cloud is nothing like those movies. But I think he's a filmmaker whose work defies genres, and Cloud is definitely worth checking out. Conclave hits theaters this month, so it's not a movie I'd prioritize seeing at the Philadelphia Film Festival, but it's definitely a movie I'd try to see in theaters ASAP, both because it's a really good movie and because you'll want to avoid spoilers. I remember the day before the press screening at TIFF, I told my friend I took Conclave out of my schedule, and he said, "You're gonna want to see that one." And I was like, okay, that sounds ominous. Clearly you know something that I don't know. So I put it back in my schedule, and I'm so grateful for that because I was truly surprised by this film. Granted, I haven't read the book that the movie is based on, but to be honest, I wasn't a fan of the director's previous film, All Quiet on the Western Front, and movies about the Pope or religion just don't pique my interest. But this movie was enthralling. I was so tired when I went to see it, and I could feel myself become more and more awake with every twist and turn of the narrative. So if it doesn't seem like your type of movie, I urge you to give it a shot. Nickel Boys is a movie I'd prioritize watching at the festival because the release date got pushed to December, and it's worth watching in a theater because the cinematography is stunning and it's shot mainly in first-person point of view, so seeing it in a theater really makes it a more immersive experience. If you aren't familiar with the novel that the movie is based on or the true story that the novel is based on, I recommend not looking anything up before seeing the movie. The only heads up I'd give anyone is that it deals with some heavy subject matter, but it's a powerful and incredibly moving film. I liked The Last Showgirl more than everyone I talked to at TIFF, so I guess take my opinion with a grain of salt. It's a flawed film, but I was very moved by it. I saw it as sort of like The Wrestler meets Support the Girls. When I talked to other people about this movie, it seemed like I may have interpreted it a little bit differently from them, but I can't really get into the details without discussing spoilers, but this movie has my seal of approval. Bird is a weird one for me because I'm a huge Andrea Arnold fan, but I didn't love this movie. I don't think it's bad, but it's not a movie I'd go out of my way to see, and if you're feeling impatient because you can't wait to see the next Andrea Arnold film, I feel like it's not a movie you need to rush to see immediately. The End was one of my least favorite films at TIFF, which was surprising because I like Joshua Oppenheimer's documentaries, and the idea of an apocalyptic musical sounds fascinating, but I was surprised by how dull the story was. It felt like nothing happened for most of the runtime, and I was so bored I couldn't wait for it to end. I think it's such a bizarre movie that it might still be worth watching, but this is one I'd wait to watch at home.